solution. The fact of the matter is, it's not an issue of money coming in. It's all that money going out. Because the government collected record income taxes in the latest quarter, but still running a $225 billion deficit. That's just for the quarter. The Citizens for Self-Governance President, Mark Meckler, National Taxpayers Union Senior Fellow, Maddie Depler. All right, Maddie, to you on this. That's incredible. That's just incredible. What do you think of it?
Yeah, Neil, I mean, let's look at the whole spending landscape as it exists today. One of the untold success stories of the Republican-led Congress is the way that congressional Republicans absolutely erased the spending legacy of President Obama, Nancy Pelosi, and Harry Reid. Now, there's a lot of room that we need to make up for here. Now that we've been able to clear out the discretionary spending excesses, we were able to get tax reform done, which is a crucial pro-growth component of having an economy that's churning, that allows revenues to come in at their historical levels. Turning now, we need to look at what our entitlement spending is. And really, if you look at the entitlement liabilities over the next 30 years, it's very evident that you can't tax your way out of that problem. We're looking at an $82 trillion deficit, trillion with a T, on what Social Security and Medicare will be doing to the federal budget. So spending reform on the mandatory side is critically important moving forward. However, we've seen with the president on the campaign trail saying that is not something that he's interested in doing. The question then will turn to Congress and what they have the political will to accomplish.
You know what's really wild about this, Mark? I know we've discussed it as well. This idea that no shortage of money coming in, but this concern about, for example, on tax cuts. How are you going to pay for that $1.5 trillion in net revenue lost? And not a peep about the $10 trillion in added spending over that same decade. That says something about the mindset of Washington.
Well, Neil, it's the mindset of Washington. It's not the mindset of conservative grassroots activists all over the country. They're waiting, not holding their breath, but they are waiting to see who the grown-ups in Washington, D.C. are, the folks that will deal with the real problems as Maddie described them. The country has fundamental structural spending problems tied to these entitlement programs. And the bottom line is what can't continue won't. Maddie's correct. We cannot tax our way out of this. We cannot grow our way out of this. And ultimately, somebody's going to step up and have to do something about it, or it is going to deal essentially a very serious blow to our economy and our standard of living in this country.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, guys, in an election year. And already, I think it's pretty clear that Mitch McConnell, I can't blame him in this environment, doesn't want to risk it. But you can make that argument almost any time, right, Maddie?
I certainly think that's true. And listen, if Congress doesn't have the ability to take on entitlement spending, there's a number of budget reforms that desperately need to be undertaken in order for Congress to get its fiscal house in order. Remember, Congress is the one that controls the purse strings. So unless they're the ones who are really taking responsibility for spending, we'll continue to see excesses that taxpayers can't afford. One thing that Congress should do is should look at its unauthorized spending. Right now, Congress continues to allow programs to have money appropriated for them with little to no congressional oversight. Some programs have gone for decades without being authorized. Kathy McMorris Rodgers introduced a bill last year called the Unauthorized Spending Accountability Act, and that's something that Congress should be taking up to really start getting spending under control if they're not going to look at the entitlement liabilities that will continue to put pressure on the budget for the next several decades.
But, you know, Mark, not too long ago, you pointed out a simple solution. If you can't cut, how about slowing the growth? And even that becomes a Herculean task.
Yeah, I mean, it is a Herculean task, and it shouldn't be. And I think this is a place where the American people would largely be in agreement. This idea, Washington is the only place where it's considered a spending cut if you don't grow as fast as you propose. Right. So going to zero baseline budgeting is a great way to go. Also, for many years, Senator Tom Coburn produced the Waste Book, demonstrating over $400 billion a year in waste, fraud, abuse, duplication. That's not Tom's opinion. That's not opinion at all. That's from the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. That's a place where we should start. Senator Lankford puts that out on a continuing basis. There's plenty of places we can cut, and they're not difficult.
You would not know that. Guys, thank you both very, very much.